So good afternoon, Nicola speaking, and I want to talk to you today about virtual summits. Virtual summits are things that have been around since the dawn of the internet, and I know because I was there. And back in the late 90s, the internet was sort of becoming rapidly accepted in 95, because that's when I bought my first domain name and set my first website up. But sort of the late 90s was when webinars and audio was coming on strong. And so virtual summits were making an appearance then, and they're a very particular kind of thing, and they come and go in fashion, but it seems like they're coming back into fashion now, and I don't know why they go out of fashion, because they're actually a really brilliant way of achieving several things. The two things they achieve are, if you're new in the business and you want to set up a virtual summit, it's actually quite technically easy to do it. You just have to be very organised, and the thing it does do is it opens doors for you, because it's very rare that people are going to say no to spending an hour of their time on the telephone, which is what they used to be in the olden days of audio teleconferencing, and give you, an hour of their time for free. But a lot of people will do that, and the reason they do that and the reason they don't say no is because they've got something to sell and you've got an audience that might want to buy. Now, they don't know how big your audience is. Some people will say, I'll only do a tele summit if you've got X number of people in your social media or X number of people in your mailing list. But most people will give you the benefit of the doubt and just think, well, what have I got to lose? It's only an hour of my time, and I might gain some followers from it. First thing to do if you want to organise a virtual summit is to pick your topic. It's got to be something compelling. It's got to be something that lots and lots of people want to know about. Try and pick something like that, and then give it a good title, which sort of either says what it does on the tin or speaks to the outcome that attendees of your virtual summit will get. I like to pick 10 to 12 subtopics then. I like to go for around 10, but it's, there's no limit on this at all. You can have 20 if you want, but it'll get a bit overwhelming trying to communicate the value of the virtual summit if you go much over 12. Then think to yourself, who are the 1 to 3 top people in each of those subtopics? Now, if you're very new to your field and you don't really know who the influencers and movers and shakers are, to go and look at the top selling books in the genre. So you can either go to, say for example, my topic is about internet marketing, or marketing your business better online. So digital marketing, let's call it. If I didn't know anyone in the digital marketing space, then I could go to digital marketing or business marketing on Amazon, and I could find the top people who are working in the space of online marketing. You could pick someone, for example, if you could do someone who does email marketing, you could do someone who does long form sales pages, you could do someone with video marketing, you could do someone with audio marketing, copywriters who write sales letters. You could find someone who's a specialist on how to create digital products out of what you know. As I'm saying all that, I think, blimey, I know how to do all that. I'm trying to do a one woman virtual summit. But no, it's much more interesting for everyone if you don't just have one person doing it. It's much more interesting if you have a range of people, because you get their backstory as well. And people are always interested in stories, that's the thing. So the other thing you could do is go to Apple or somewhere like Overcast and find the top podcasts in the field, and ask the people who run a podcast if they'll be on your virtual summit. And if you call it a virtual summit, it's just like a podcast, say to them, then they'll know what you're talking about. And again, podcast people love to talk, so that's why they've got their own podcast, and they'll be probably very happy to come onto your virtual summit stroke series of podcasts and speak for an hour or talk to you for an hour about their specialist topic. Most people are in this because they're passionate about the topic, so that's quite a good thing, because they always want to talk about it. And the other place to go obviously is LinkedIn. If you're in a more creative field, then you might want to go to Instagram. You might want to ask ChatGPT who are the top influencers in Instagram in your field. But do bear in mind that ChatGPT swears that it doesn't have any information past 2021, although I beg to differ. I found it probably does. So the next thing to do is to send an introduction email, or try and do what Emmy did with me, which is book yourself into someone's diary if you can. You've decided already the who that you want, but you've got to introduce yourself to them, and you've got to say who your audience is, because you don't want to waste people's time, and if they're not speaking to the right audience, then they're not going to give you their time for free. And then this is what I do. I go through the who, what, why, where, when and how, which is the sort of things you cover in a press release, actually. So what you're doing is you're writing a short, sharp, succinct press release to go by email form to the person that you want to appear on your virtual summit. So I would say who you are and who is the audience, and why you want them on the call, and why you're doing the virtual summit at all, in fact. So each of these who, why, what, where, when and how questions has got more than one answer. So don't be afraid to, you don't need to put who, why, what as headings, but as long as you cover everything, then you'll end up with a minimum of questions from the person concerned. So what you're doing, what is a virtual summit, a sentence explaining that, what will be required of them. I would make it as little as possible. I like people to make it as easy as possible for me to book myself in for my session. And Emmy was brilliant. She went out and she combed the internet and got my bio and put a bio together for me, so I didn't have to bother. I have got one, obviously, and I just hadn't got around to sending it to her. Don't be afraid to remind people what you need by deadlines. Make it easy for them. Don't make them have to think too much. We've covered why and what and who. When. People need to know when it is. They need to know when their session's going to be recorded. They need to know when it's going to be going out and all that stuff. And then where. Where is it going to be distributed? Where is it going to be recorded? Where is the audience that you're aiming at? Where are you going to be distributing it? As I say, is it going to be just on a podcast platform? Is it going to be on a YouTube platform? Are you going to be distributing it on your social media? And what, under the what question as well, coming back to what, people want to know what you require from them. Now, don't in the early days expect much from other people. I think if you don't expect much, you won't be disappointed, because only 1 or 2 of your 10 to 12 people will actually share it with their audience. So if you're looking to create a virtual summit as a way of building up your audience by tapping into other people's audiences, that's not how it works, I'm afraid. That's the goal, but it very rarely works like that in practice. Stop playing with Nicola Cairncross here, and I'd like to quickly interrupt this video. As you may or may not know, I have a business called Clicks and Leads Academy, which is not just about marketing your business better online, although we do cover that. It's also about becoming a better entrepreneur. So if you like the sound of that, you can come over to clicksandleads.academy. See you on the other side. And the final thing is the how. The how, is it going to be recorded? Is it going to be on Zoom? Is it going to be on, whatever platform you're using? And how are they going to be able to contact you if they need to, if anything goes wrong? And how are you going to be distributing it and making sure that the person's hour is invested wisely? Now, how it works financially that's another thing to include in your how, is that usually the virtual summit will be broadcast live and it's free for people to attend if they give their name and email. So that's how you're building up your audience, is by giving the whole thing away for free. And that's the way, the best way to do it. Don't try and charge for it on the live broadcast side of things, because you will not get anyone paying for it, because they don't know who you are. They've probably only heard a half of the people that you're interviewing, and so it's better to make it free, and you're building your mailing list like that. And then after that, if people get jumped to a page where they can invest usually about $97 to get the whole set of the recordings. And again, you're not going to make a fortune from this, but you might make between $500 and $1,000, depending on how big your audience is and how many of the speakers' audiences you manage to pull into your funnel, as it were. And don't forget to follow up with people who do opt in, and follow up with them at least weekly, probably twice weekly, until the date of the summit comes, because all of that time is time that you've got time to make some sales of the recordings and have that all set up and ready to go. The other thing you might want to do is to ask your interviewees if they've got an affiliate program. So, for example, with Emmy, she talked a lot about joining my Clicks and Leads Academy, which she did actually straight after the call when we talked about the summit. And she was talking about how good it was and how much she was looking forward to working with me for the next year. So if I make any sales from Emmy's virtual summit, I'm very happy to pay her a small commission, and I do have an affiliate scheme set up to do that. I don't market it very much because nobody really ever signs up cold, But in this case, it's nice to be able to give Emmy a little kickback if somebody does join my Clicks and Leads Academy. Similarly, I'm assuming that if I make any sales for her of the recordings, I'll be getting a commission on that as well. So she should be giving every person who's taking part in the summit their own affiliate link so that they can promote it to their people, and she will see where the sales come from and be able to pay a bit of commission. So the commissions work both ways. And you know, sometimes people waive the commission. They say, "Oh, don't worry too much. You know, you're just starting out. I don't want any commission if you make any sales from me." And some people don't like to do that. They want to make commission where they can. So you decide. Nothing. You know, anything goes as long as you would advise people in advance exactly what's happening. You don't really need anything legal going on here. I mean, Emmy hasn't sent me anything to sign. I would be obviously very wary of signing any complicated document, but she really needs to get the permission of the person who's participating in the summit, and that can just be as simple as saying in the email, by agreeing to participate in the summit, you are giving me the rights to do whatever I want with the recording afterwards. And that's how I ended up being able to make some of my podcast recordings into a book, because I got that permission in the email that people got when they were agreeing to come on my podcast. Now, don't forget, it's a really nice courtesy to send a copy of the recording to your summit attendee, and then they can do with it what they want afterwards. And it's a really nice way of creating content. I find, you know, conversation flows really naturally most of the time, and you end up saying things that you wouldn't have thought to say, and people ask questions that you wouldn't have thought they were going to ask. So often they get something out of you that then turns into a nice, valuable piece of content that for you to use afterwards as the summit attendee. And of course, the person organising the summit gets to use all of the content however they like. So if you're new to your industry, or if you've been in your industry for a long time and you're looking to make a name for yourself quickly, or if you're looking to network, because this is a great way of networking, you can go straight to the top, and people, as I say, people very rarely say no. Or if you're looking for a mentor, that might be one way of going about looking for a mentor, because you're creating value for the people who are both attending the summit and the people who are the summit speakers. And it's a really nice way of doing things, and it will get you into a really good project that will get you to know a load of people. You might make some money, you'll definitely build your mailing list, and it's all good as long as you do it well. I hope that helps, and if you've got any questions about running virtual summits, then do let me know. I have run a few. I ran a Money Gym virtual summit once or twice. And Judith and I ran a Own It, the podcast virtual summit, which was all about living and working virtually all around the world. Yeah, we interviewed some really great people with that, and that was a really nice product at the end of it. I highly encourage you to think about a virtual summit for your business. As I say, let me know if you've got any questions. Till next time.